In my last video, I took the challenge to beat the first LittleBigPlanet story mode while being Toggle, a character introduced in the third game of the franchise. And following the success of it, here comes a tremendous amount of pain and suffering. I say that because in today's video we are going to beat the first game while being Oddsock. And let me tell you that this was definitely the hardest challenge I have ever taken in this game. Let me explain. Oddsock is a character shaped like an animal that can run fast and wall jump from platform to platform. But you see, that's pretty much all he does. He cannot grab or swing, and he cannot use power-ups, which makes for an extremely difficult challenge because LittleBigPlanet relies heavily on that type of gameplay, and some levels are just downright impossible to finish. But prepare, because some of the levels can be made while using lots and lots of tricky moves. First of all, the reason I am able to play this like Oddsock is because before the shutdown, I saved the first game story to my moon. But because 7 out of 26 levels cannot be played as they do not allow me to enter despite trying, we would have to skip them. Secondly, if you see any infinite life checkpoint like this one, it's just me adding it in create mode to reduce my pain of replaying the level countless times. Now that is explained, let's just jump straight into it. Enjoy. We start with introduction, which is the most basic level of the game. This level can be cleared in seconds due to Oddsock's speed and agility, so we can move on to the next level easily. The first level of the gardens, called First Steps, is not that difficult. We can start by trolling with Dumpty, and then we can continue by jumping across the mushroom platforms. After crossing the spinning wheel, we can literally skip the tutorial of respawning and we can manage to finish the level flawlessly. The next level has us learning the grab mechanic, which is ironic since Oddsock cannot grab. We can manage to do this section by just pushing the blocks and jumping across all of them. Then we can continue by racing with a wooden steed to show who is the true speedster. And yeah, we lost to it. Then comes the turning point of the entire video. From here on out everything becomes insanely challenging, and some levels are just going to be impossible. You see, this is the first level that requires you to grab and swing, but since Oddsock can't, I had to do a million tryouts. And yeah, as you can see, it was very hard to pull off. But after several minutes, I finally managed to do it. Afterwards everything is easy and we can finish the level and move on to the next one. Next is K to Victor, which has always been the level that has caused me the most problems. And unfortunately this time is not an exception. I tried to climb like those ninja warriors, but I couldn't do it. I tried several times and looked for another way, but this level has to go on the impossible list yet again. At this point I should just skip it. The first level of Savannah starts smoothly, but as you're going to see it does not end good. We can manage to jump across the giraffes and make our way onto the swinging monkeys, where we immediately get our first and last problem for this level. You see, Oddsock as mentioned before cannot grab or swing, so I had to try to wall jump off the monkey's tails, but it's just not doable. I tried finding an exploit or something else, but this one has to go on the impossible list just like the previous level. But don't worry, even though it won't be the last one that we can finish, the other levels are somewhat doable. The next level, Burning Forest, starts easy with a few jumps across the fire. We can manage to avoid all the tricky areas and we can continue by hopping onto the moving buffaloes. And I have no idea how they can manage to stay on fire like that. Oddsock would have wished to have that kind of mastery. We could continue by making our way onto the big fall to the crocodile's mouth. Now this section was a bit difficult since we were required to swing, but with a few tries I managed to do some tricky moves and cross it. The next section though was a total nightmare. It requires you to swing through 7 hanging platforms. Yep, you heard that. The good news is that once again, after a lot of tries, we can manage to do it. Afterwards everything is easy until the last bit, when even though it was hard, I did it in the end. Probably the easiest level like always, Minecart Kingdom is the one I always enjoyed during this type of challenge videos. Since Oddsock is not tall but rather shaped like an animal, we can sweep through the small gaps with ease, due to his speed. After making our way to the meerkat's son, that definitely needs repenting, we can manage to take him safely to his parent, and then finish the level as quickly as possible. Making our way onto the next world, the wedding's first level is quite interesting, as it doesn't have many things that can block us from advancing. We can manage to cross easily, and for some reason, because of the physics of the character, some parts can even be speedrun because of how high the jump goes, when combined with the jumping and moving skeleton heads. Then we can proceed to finish and move on to the next level. The Darkness is a level that starts just like every other level. To tell you the truth, it has always been one of the most annoying levels to complete because of how extremely dark the atmosphere is. The lights are almost non-existent in this one. But would you look at that, we definitely found Oddsock's friend, as they both are supposed to resemble a dog, yet fail terribly at doing so. Anyways, we can make our way onto the later sections of the level where we get completely blocked to proceed. You see, we have to grab and move the skeleton skull, but yet again, Oddsock fails at doing so because of its inabilities. Just like in the other instances, this will have to go as the third level that we cannot complete. Don't worry though, as from now on, only one level is impossible. The final level of the wedding is a boss level, and one of the better ones, and the best part is that Oddsock can clear this level with ease. You see, this is a chase type of level which requires speed and skills, which luckily are all Oddsock has. So we can manage to defeat the boss in literal seconds, and we can unite the two skeleton lovers together. And don't ask no more, no idea what's happening there. Proceeding with our next level, Boomtown starts quite interesting. After uniting the characters, we are set to meet with Uncle Jalapeno. Hopefully I pronounce his name correctly, sorry if not, it's not my first language. We can definitely cross the big canyon, and after throwing the cow, we can manage to rest now that the only animal left is, well, Oddsock. Then we can move on to the next section, which creates a huge problem. These sections require you to grab the rocket and fly to the other part of the level, and as you know by now, the problem is obvious. I tried making a high jump and gaining speed from the ramp, but I couldn't do it despite trying for ages. Then I tried inviting another player to help me find a way to exploit this part, but sadly it was truly impossible. The closest I got was this jump right here, but even then it wasn't enough. And yeah, remember when I told you that there was one level left? Well, with this one it makes two, because I forgot to count this one in. I know it's getting a bit difficult, but stay with me as the next ones have some crazy moments. The final level of the canyons has us infiltrating our way to Zapata's caves. It is filled with giant snake and small gaps, none of which cause us a problem. There are some things here and there which cause difficulties at first, but we can do it by abusing Oddsock's abilities and agility. This level is all about timing your moves correctly, so that's not a problem. We are then challenged to grab a rope suspended platform, but instead we can wall jump and cross it without a problem. Next we move to the boss area of the level, and I was shocked to see how easily and fast we can manage to beat it. After pushing the bombs with precise action, we can finally defeat Zapata and move on to the next world of the game. Ironically enough, the second level of the canyons is one of my favorites in this video, because it truly shows that with effort anything can be achieved, even as Oddsock. We start by defeating some enemies and make our way into the big minecart drops, which are a bit difficult to handle because of how fast they get. And trust me, they really get extra speed because of Oddsock's bigger weight. After dealing with some sections, the difficulty arises on the spinning wheels, but despite that we can cross them easily when done carefully. Then comes the hardest part, where after getting on the minecart, we need to jump and swing to the other minecart before it takes away. And yep, you guessed it, it is hard, but after some time I managed to do it. I was so proud of myself. Then comes another section, which at first I almost gave up. After crossing some of the spinning wheels, we are required to get down to the enemy section. But the path is blocked, and since Oddsock cannot grab, it is almost impossible to do. I tried walking through this gap, but it was too small to fit. But after abusing with the fire, we can manage to clutch our way out. Then everything is easy and can be finished without a problem. The next world, called the Temple, starts with Oddsock traversing its way to the southern continent of Asia. I said that because this world is set in India and takes inspiration from it, as you can clearly see. We are immediately presented with a challenge that we can overtake by making some precise and timed jumps. After crossing it, we can dive into the deeper parts of the level, which consist mostly of dancers and rotating platforms, all of which can be done effortlessly. Then we can continue by racing our way through the hard parts, which require lots of time movements and efficient skills. At this point I don't think there's anything left to say, so we can finish yet another level and add it to the completed list. The second level, which is absolutely one of the worst levels in the game, is a level that almost made me quit. But before that, we can move to the first parts of the level without difficulty. And yeah, this is where things started getting complicated. Like, a lot complicated. You see, we are required to push and pull the stairs of the temple to continue our journey through it. But the stairs are extremely sensitive, and since Oddsock cannot grab and pull objects, this part frustrated me a lot. I tried for several minutes straight, but still to no avail. At the last moment, when repeating the level, I accidentally made the lucky jump and managed to get up in the ceiling. After it, I managed to cross the section with no problems. And yeah, I was really happy for the outcome. Afterwards, we can manage to cross all the final sections, and finally, after the moving elephant, finish it. The next level, after skipping those that we sadly cannot enter, is the Collector's Lair, where we immediately get our first and, sadly to say, the last thing to block us from beating the game. You see, the level starts with an extremely difficult drop that even when done carefully cannot be cleared. I tried and tried for many minutes and maybe even hours, but it's just that gravity makes it impossible. Aside from that, what makes it even sadder is that if we were to beat this first section, we could have completed the entire level afterwards. I actually tried beating it in create mode, and unlike the first drop, the final one can be done easily. In conclusion, this would have to go on the impossible list as the final level of it. Next is the final boss of the game, but before that I have always wondered what would happen if the player were to enter the room of the collector. And yeah, as you can see, it's very disappointing. Anyways, after battling the collector's first stage with ease, we can manage to move to the final stages, which even though hard are definitely doable. And yeah, we can finally beat the collector and finish the game. Now, if you were wondering and if it weren't obvious enough, 6 out of 19 levels were unfinishable. That's definitely a downgrade from Toggle, which beat almost the entire game. So for now, Toggle reigns supreme compared to Oddsock. Anyways, that was all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it and thanks for your support, it really means a lot to me. My next video is Swoop, so stay tuned and subscribe if you aren't. Bye, and see you all in the next one.